Streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
I clicked the buttons in the wrong order and threw the whole start of this show off. Like, I have a rhythm to the way I do these things. And when you do them backwards, it throws you all out of rhythm. Much like when you try to read the comic books for your show where you review comic books while sitting in the doctor's office and have to read them on your phone. And there's a lot of cussing about demons. And you're like, gee, I hope that the Wi-Fi at this hospital is not tracking what's on my phone right now. So that was my day. How was your day? Also, McDonald's gave me the wrong Happy Meal bucket. Like, it's just been one of those. This is In Stores This Week, where we talk about comics that are in stores this week. And we'll be right back. Hello.
What's up?
I figure this is the 1 week I can wear my Panthers hat with pride. It's been an ugly year. But we beat
Fire
Tom
sale
Brady.
in Carolina. There's a fire sale in Carolina. If anybody needs football players for anything, they're selling.
Turns out, no. Somebody offered 2 first rounds for Brian Burns, and Carolina said no.
Well, if you got to keep somebody, that's who you keep. What up, John? How's it going? Welcome into In Stores This Week, where we talk about books that are in stores this week.
Ish.
Is the ish that these books aren't in stores this week? Because every one of the books this week was actually on the schedule for this week.
Oh, no,
or do we only sort of talk about them?
we only sort of talk about them.
Yeah.
That's fair. So, yeah, I don't have anything to stall with today. Oh, I saw the Black Adam.
I haven't yet.
I will put this out there 8 out of 10. Or on my normal 5-point scale, 4 out of 5.
That's high praise.
Well, the Rotten Tomato score is 40% by critics and 90% by fans.
That is correct.
Yep, it's not Shakespeare, but it's fun, is what everybody is saying.
Correct.
And that Pierce Brosnan should get his own movie.
Agreed. I haven't even seen it, and I'm just going to go ahead and agree.
So, but we know who to ask now. We could just tweet to James Gunn.
Yeah.
True. I can't agree any harder, otherwise I'll get dizzy. But Pierce Brosnan does need his own movie. I will tell you the two qualms I have are scripting problems, which, let's be real, in a movie about Black Adam, you're gonna have scripting problems.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie. There usually isn't a big demand for an actual scripter, a screenwriter.
Correct.
You basically plot it out by fight scene.
Yes. Yeah, no, it was real good. Still not quite as high as Shazam on my list, but very, 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 very close.
I liked Shazam, and I don't like the character.
That's exactly what I'm saying, right? Like, I liked Shazam the movie because I don't like the character. It didn't feel like it was beholden. Huh?
You are weird.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I like the idea of Shazam, and I like the original Captain Marvel stuff. But especially the later Shazam stuff, I just don't have it. I don't have a taste for.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel so beholden to the new stuff that it ignored what made the old stuff fun. And if it's good enough for Gomer Pyle, the old stuff is good enough for me.
Okay.
Before we get started, real fast, I want to ask John, since he's in the comments. I remember you saying that you ended up picking up Bloodshot. What'd you think of it? I'm really interested to.
Don't we have a Bloodshot tonight?
We do. We have Bloodshot number 2.
All right, cool. Why don't we save that, John Spilios, for when we get to that book? I don't know where it's at in the PowerPoint here. I don't have a list.
Didn't you make the PowerPoint?
I did, but that doesn't mean I remember it.
Weird.
I was making it and trying to eat a Happy Meal at the same time, Dan.
That doesn't change. That actually adds to the weird.
Why?
Was it an adult Happy Meal?
No, it was a kid's Happy Meal. I need to eat because I'm not going to get to leave the office until very late tonight.
And you went for a Happy Meal instead of like a Big Mac or a
But I had had a late lunch, so I wasn't incredibly hungry. But my blood sugar was dictating that I needed to eat something. Okay. So I got something small and manageable.
You are somebody who is concerned about your blood sugar, yet you eat at McDonald's.
It's the place with the shortest line. I have an hour to build a PowerPoint.
There's a short line. There's a reason there's a short line. All the regulars are dead.
Sure. I don't follow your logic. So we're just going to move on and talk about how there were entirely too many Grimm Fairy Tales books. I never thought I could say that there was too much Zenoscope in my life, but there was too much Zenoscope in my life.
Yeah, I didn't read one of them.
I
got through 2 of them and went, nope, that one's too long.
I didn't read any of them. I skimmed through all of them.
Well, I'll go for this one because I read this one. To be honest, out of the 3,
why aren't the book names along the side over there?
Because for whatever reason they didn't save.
Okay, which one is this then?
The Grimm Fairy Tales Halloween special.
Hey, that's the one I skipped. Go for it, Jay.
Okay. So out of the 3 we had on the list, I actually only didn't like one. I liked this one. It felt like they took like a million different horror movies and Sci-Fi Channel original movies and mixed it with Fear Factor. But outside of that, I still liked it. I mean, this book even had a sharktopus. If you didn't make it to the end of the book, spoiler, there's a sharktopus in it. I read the whole thing and I was like, this wasn't as bad as the other book on this list that I didn't like.
Sharktopus. I believe I dated her once.
Yeah, my read on this when I skimmed through it was that this looks like all of their one-shot specials. Kind of the same. Too long to read, but worth reading if you're into this kind of stuff. Like, if you're into the Zenoscope one-shot, especially the seasonal ones, the Halloweens, the Christmas, the Easters, the seasonal holiday ones, definitely check it out because it looked like it had all the pieces, but it was like 64 pages, and I'm like, eh.
The artwork, John, wasn't bad, but it's still that thing of it's not as good as it has been. Like it was good, but not as good as I guess it's a nostalgic thing. When I first started reading it, it's still pretty good, just not that level that it used to be.
Yeah. All right. This is the other Zenoscope book, one of the other Zenoscope books. This is Grimm Fairy Tales number 65, which is the one that I read from them that I don't know that I liked it or didn't like it, but I enjoy the fact that it's a continuation from the last Grimm Fairy Tales book.
They are so hugging Lovecraft on this.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just, it's become an H.P. Lovecraft book. Every creature that's coming in is a Lovecraft creature, the Night Gaunts, and I mean, just down the line, it's just one after the other. This has become a total Lovecraftian thing. And the books aren't really moving that far forward. It's like they're doing these little baby steps. But, hey, look, we got creatures. Aren't they cool? So I could think this could be a great story, but they need to move it and get it going. It's just chugging in place right now. You know, it's on the gas and it's still in neutral. So
that's a good way to put it. This is the one I read that I didn't like.
You don't like Lovecraft, though?
Not really. No, I think it's, like I said before, I think it's starting to get overused. Once the Predalians showed up, because that's what they look like to me, xenomorphs and predators put together, I was just like, okay, those are cool, but the characters don't interest me. Like this group of characters, the Three Musketeers, all of them, and I hate that I'm always down on these books, but it's just not for me. There's another Zenoscope book we have on here that deals with a single character, and I thought that one was great.
You have a dark soul. It's okay. We understand.
Dark soul. Yeah.
And now a message from Mayor Lovecraft.
If you wish to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first consume the universe. I'm Cathorl Sagan, and I'm off to eat billions of humans. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be one of them shows.
Great.
I've had a very long day. So, yes. No, like I said, I like the fact that this feels like it's continuing this story. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's bad. I think it's very solid B+ work. It just, unlike a lot of the other Zenoscope stuff that I feel is an incomplete thought, this I feel like they're at least telling me a story in a way that I would expect a story to be told. And so that has a benefit to me.
Yeah.
So. All right. Next up is our only Dynamite book this week, which is also weird for us.
Mm-hmm.
To have this much Zenoscope and this little Dynamite. However, if you're going to pick a Dynamite to only have one Dynamite, this is the Dynamite to only have.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go ahead with this one. So I've been kind of off and on with this series. I thought the first couple issues were good, and then it just felt like for me it just kind of slowed down a lot. But I was back on with this one. It did feel kind of like a bit of a rushed ending, but I mean it pretty much jumped right into the action. And I think that's what I liked about the first issue so much, is just it's a little bit of story right into the action. And for me, this was the same way. I don't know what really could have been done for me to make me like every issue other than reading them all at the same time. Again, I think that's just a problem I have with some of these books. Spending, here's one issue, and like a week or two later, we'll get another issue. Because me personally, like I've said before, that's not how I read. I read one issue, then I'll just wait for the trade so I can just read it all at one time. And I think if I did that, I'd probably like this entire series. But I really did enjoy this one. I didn't think it was a bad finale at all.
Yeah, I'm with Jay on this. The first issue was solid, and I really liked the premise. The second issue was good. It set everything up. And then it felt like that thing where you've gone up the hill of the roller coaster and you've started to come down, and then you're like, oh, nope, that's not the big hill. We're going to level you off for a minute, and then you come down the big hill. Only to that drop off be the end of the book. I felt like this was the issue where it finally started to feel like we had a ton of forward momentum, and this was really turning into something that I could read 2 or 3 more issues of at least. And this is actually the end. So I would have liked to have seen this story, the middle two, or the issues 3 and 4 condensed maybe into one, this be issue 4, and then do another issue or 2 on the end of it where she kind of knows what the deal is and what the score is, and just more action.
I thought this book had already ended. This showed up this week, and I'm like, really? There's another one? And it was a good ending, but it just felt like a very disjointed series. you know, in like a lion, out like a lion, just lammed it through up the whole middle. So, I don't know. I think it felt like a 2-issue story to me, done over what, 5?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but it had a good ending. So, but it's done. Goodbye, Samurai Sonia.
I also wouldn't be opposed to a second volume of this, like picking up from here-ish. If it's done in a 3-issue, a one-shot, something, real condensed, and to bring this kind of samurai sort of shonen Red Sonja back. Or in a Sonya verse, kind of seeing her in a one shot in a Sonya verse type story.
Having her go up against the actual Sonya would be interesting.
Yeah, I like the concept of this Sonya. I think the execution was lacking. So I'd like to see her again, maybe executed a little bit more strongly. All right, this is the last GFT book. Grim Spotlight, Cinderella Tooth Fairy.
Zenoscope must have decided they really, really, really wanted their version of Harley Quinn. Because that's pretty much what this book is. This lady is completely insane and talks to herself. And it really is like trying to read a... Dave Franchini is really trying to do a Harley Quinn on this. And some of the bits were funny. Some of them fell flat. I think the part I liked the most about this book, though, was the art. I actually went up, and it's not the first artist. There's a second artist. The first 7 pages are by one artist, and it's like, whatever. By the time we get to the second artist who does the rest of the book, that's the art. That's the guy you want to keep your eye on, because I have a feeling he's going to end up doing Marvel, DC. He should go right to Harley Quinn at this point. The story was okay. It was really weird, but it really was kind of Harley Quinn meets Squirrel Girl. So that was my thought.
I'm going to echo what Dan said and what John said. The cover for me is the seller, right? This cover to me is super cool. There are other covers that are, there's a Josh Burns cover that's really good. But this to me feels like the appropriate cover for this book. The inside, the art was all, I'm with Dan. The second half of the book was a different look than the first half, and it was executed better. The writing was forced and punched in weird spots. It didn't feel like it came out as a complete thought. And they're like, hey, we have this idea, now make it funny. And no one knew how to do that. It'd be like hiring me to write South Park. It wouldn't be right. So I didn't love the book, but I loved looking at it. So
okay. This one I liked. And I mainly liked it because one character is the main focus. And for me, I expect Cindy to act like this because serial killer Cinderella is how I was introduced to the character. And in that one, she is very much a Deadpool meets Harley Quinn kind of character. I thought this one was better than some of the other Grim Fairy Tale stuff we've read in recent weeks. I want more of her. I thought this was great. This was great for me.
All right. So I'm going to start with this book. How very dare this book? In the sense that you had me all hyped up, and the first issue was okay, and the second issue was okay, but just okay enough that now I got to buy a third issue.
Mm-hmm.
Like, be good or don't. But don't Tim Seeley me, Tim Seeley, and just keep dragging me along until I realize what a genius you are. You know, like
Yep.
that's everything about this book is like, I should love it. And I'm just like, it's all right. I want to know what happens next, but I don't have a strong emotional connection anywhere.
Stop dragging my heart around.
Nice.
Very much, Dan. And again, it's Tim Seeley doing what Tim Seeley does, right? He's giving you just enough to keep you hooked, and then he's going to drop it on you later. He's done it several times, and it's why I love him. But God, I just want this book to either be awesome or awful. Just pick.
Same.
You realize he's writing the Keanu Reeves movie, right?
Yes.
This main character is Keanu Reeves.
Correct.
This is a movie that's going to have to happen.
Sure. Like, no, I recognize all of that. And he's doing what you do if you're writing that kind of story.
Hmm.
He's going to drop it on me eventually, and I'll be like, see, I told you he was a genius. But
Yeah, for me, I was not into this one as much as I was the first one. It was still okay to me, but it's one of those issues where it's the last page that got me, where I was like, okay, now I want to see where this goes. It's something that I thought of when I was reading this. I was like, I think this book would work a little bit better for me if it was set back in like the 80s rock and metal era, instead of what it feels like more of a 2022 kind of vibe. Or if we at least got more flashbacks, because I am interested in Joe. Right now I don't care about him and his daughter. I don't. They don't interest me yet, I should say. Maybe as the story goes on, that'll change. I mean, it's happened to me before where I didn't like something, and then the next couple of issues, I'm like, okay, I'm in now. But right now, I'm just not exactly there yet.
I like the fact that his daughter rapped.
Oh my goodness.
That's it. That's my only thought on this book.
all right, so this is Dead Mall, which is a book that I was shocked to find out wasn't about Deadpool. Only in as much as I saw Dead on the list and never read the second word.
Did we ever get that Men on Film thing that I asked for? Or my review is just Damon Wayans coming up going, hated it.
No, we did not.
Finally got a chance to use it.
Oh.
I so could have cared less about this book. I mean, I read it, and I did we need it? It's a killer mall. That's it.
Well, that was the question I had about this book, right? Is it trying to cash in on the nostalgia people have for the mall?
I guess.
Like, because I remember the mall smelling vaguely like mold and having a Sears that was only barely hanging on. And like,
okay, this is more for my age group, where the mall actually meant something, and I didn't care about it. So it missed its target audience, at least in my case. If it would have spent a little more time, leaned into that, like gave us shops that mattered in the 80s, but the only shop in there I remember was Forever 21 that we saw a sign for, which is a more recent store.
I will say this. My connection to the mall is it's the thing you walk through to get to the Apple store and the Auntie Anne's pretzel stand. Those are the things.
Look, I have to bring up my rant from before. Stop trying to make the 80s cool. They weren't. The malls were just a place to go shopping. We went there because they kept popping up. Malls now are ghost towns. And the fact that this guy is trying to turn it into a monster movie. Yeah, they did it with one of the Night of the Living Deads or Dawn of the Dead or whatever it was. It's like, yeah, Walden Books, B. Dalton,
I miss Walden Books.
KB Toys.
I miss KB Toys.
Yeah. But yeah, it just, we never got a chance to actually care about the characters before they started killing them. There was no nostalgia for the place. It just is kind of a so.
I thought it was it was, for me, it was a decent story. I'm not saying it's the greatest thing ever. I know Jay pretty much likes everything, but I like the menacing narration. See, I didn't think it was the mall. I thought it was just one of the monsters narrating. I didn't read it as it was the mall saying anything.
Did you notice the title?
I know it's called Dead Mall. I didn't think it would be that. Okay, maybe I was giving it a little too much credit then. But it's got kind of like a cabin in the woods, chopping mall feel to it.
Yes, but Cabin in the Woods had Kevin.
Oh, okay, yeah. Right, but to me, the reason I get the Cabin in the Woods thing from it is because the characters, for me, they didn't feel like tropey idiots because they didn't want to just separate as soon as they got there. They're still tropey, though, because you still have the hot girl, the dating couple, the recluse friend who didn't really want to come to begin with, but she came anyway. Things like that. Like,
so you have the cast of Saved by the Bell.
Pretty much, yeah. Saved by the Bell in a deadly mall.
It's all right.
Caddyshack.
That's the theme.
No, that's the theme song, Saved by the Bell.
Oh,
I'm Saved by the Bell.
Oh, there you go.
I'm just thinking about
Okay.
Zach's brick phone. Sorry.
Just leave the 80s in the 80s, people. Move on.
Or if
To
you're
the
going to do it,
90s.
at least do a fictitious 80s that was actually decent and
Yeah.
not try and base it in any kind of reality. You know, give them flying cars, something. All right. So Nightfall double feature. I'll be honest. The first story in this creeped me out so much I didn't read the second. Like, it was one of those things where the first story hit me in all the things that literally will give me nightmares, which I love because so often comic books that try and scare me, like, hit one of the scare factors, but not all of them. This one hit me in the ones that in all of them. The second story, I kind of flipped through, but I'm going to go back and read it like when it's daylight out and I know that the comic book can't hurt me. Like, if I was Joey in Friends, I would be putting this one in the freezer next to next to my Stephen King novels.
The comic can always hurt you.
These were okay stories. No, I'm kidding. I thought they were both really good. I'm kind of hoping though that this one does what Shock Shop does, and that the next issue will be continuations. I will never look at stuffed animals the same way again. I actually, as good as the first story was, I was super interested in the second story. I was like, there's something about this, and it's mainly because the soon-to-be stepdad in it just seems too chipper for all the stuff the wife was saying went on in his life. Like, there's just something off to me, but we'll just have to see. I'd like to read more if they're going to do more. That's all I can say about this one.
I was going to read it, but then Peter Safran and James Gunn were named head of DC Films, and I got a little distracted. So I think the fact the book scared the hell out of Kyle means you should buy it. Let's move on.
And Dan, you really should read it. I think you would like it. I think you would enjoy kind of the unique storytelling of the first story, and I'll let you know about the second one when I man up and read it. All right. Criminal Macabre, Count Crowley, From the Pit They Came.
Yeah. A little background real quick. I am good friends with Steve Niles. We go way back. I co-wrote a bunch of stuff with him. And my favorite property that he ever did was Criminal Macabre. I've read all the novels. I wanted to write Cal's sidekick. Just, like I said, I've worked on everything else. I never got a chance to work on this. So it was so cool to see that character brought in with David Desmalchian's Count Crawley and doing this one shot that just seemed to come out of the blue. There wasn't a lot of hype about it. There was an announcement, but again, it just kind of came out of the blue. But I really enjoyed seeing Cal McDonald back, especially when you've got the Count Crawley character is, a recovering alcoholic, and Cal is a, what's a good word for it?
Not
a quitter. Yeah, he doesn't give up drinking because he needs something to wash his drugs down. So it's a very interesting dynamic. There are moments that I'm not sure if she's out of character or not, basically offering herself up a couple times, but it's a fun little romp. If you were a fan of either character, it's neat to see them together.
See, I read that as Cal has this irresistibility that from the other Criminal Macabre stuff, I know he has, right? He has this sort of joie de vivre that is just...
Well, women love the bad boys.
Well, I wouldn't be shocked if we don't find out eventually when he brings this series back that it's magic, right? Yeah. He has some sort of talisman that makes him irresistible to women.
Magical pheromones.
Right. I too love Criminal Macabre. It's the story he did with the Goon. Is one of my favorite works of comic ever. Because I love the Goon, I love Eric Powell, and I love Steve Niles. So this hit all of my check boxes for a book. It was funny, it was serious, there was good action. The monster wasn't so serious. You're like, ooh, this is a good monster. You're just like, oh, that's a very dumb monster.
Yes.
Right. And it's, like I said, not so serious that you have to take it seriously, but not so goofy that you can't if you want to. So
before Jay jumps, Kyle, remind me, I've been trying to rack my brain. They never actually say the ghoul's name, his buddy. And I know he's the regular sidekick, and for the life of me, I can't remember his name anymore because it's been so long since I've read the other Criminal Macabre. But they don't actually say the name in the book.
Yeah.
You don't remember either.
I don't remember either. Let me...
Okay, Jay, do your bit. Yeah, you loved it, right?
Wow, it's like Dan's a mind reader. I've already...
I'm being an ass today.
No, it's funny. I've already said this, but please, David Desmalchin, please keep writing books. Please. The Count Crowley stuff has been so fun. I've loved everything we've read. I was not aware that the Criminal Macabre was a thing before until I actually looked this book up while I was on a break and saw everything that it's been, tied in with and everything. So super cool character, it looks like, but really enjoyed him in this book. This one, I enjoyed it. It was a great story. It was funny. There wasn't a ton, but I did pick out some a little bit, some Easter eggs and some cameos, because I could have sworn I saw, what is that character's name? Svengoolie?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I
Yeah.
saw somebody
There's a
carrying a
couple.
poster that said Suspiria on it. So those were fun little things that I saw, but man, just an overall good monster hunting book. I mean, I hope there's more.
John, yeah, you could absolutely pick this up, read it, enjoy it. But I will warn you that it will probably make you want to go check out the books from these characters because it's a fun little romp. So you'll look up, and the Count Crawley books are recent. The Criminal Macabre books are a little older.
Moloch,
that's it. Damn. Could not remember that.
Yeah, it took me longer than it should have too, and I'm not happy.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I'll take this one first.
Okay.
I'll take this one first. Okay.
We trip over each other to get to the good books. No, this one. I want it.
I know I try to say something positive about every book we have on the list. Okay. I know I try. Mm-hmm. This book continues to be awesome and gruesome. And there's like some of the victims in this, what's going on, what their ailments are, were unnerving. Like their skin slipping off, teeth falling out. I mean, just wow. Like
I was offended by one of them. She goes, I'm 34 and my hair's falling out. Your hair's not.
Well, yeah. No, now that you said it, now I'm like, okay, yeah.
That's what happens when you eat McDonald's.
It's got nothing to do with the McDonald's, Dan.
I dug the fact that instead of using the black redacted lines like we use in everything when you're not supposed to see what's in the word bubbles, I like how they cut, like you can still make out what it says, but I like how they tried to hide and cut things in the word bubbles. I thought that was a super interesting choice to do that. Like I said, the story's great. It's bloody. It's violent. And if you're not the biggest Bloodshot fan, just for anybody out there who doesn't know, yes, he has these nanites. But in order to heal with the nanites, he has to consume fats and protein. And how he gets the fats and protein in this one,
disturbing.
Wow. Disturbing. This so far for me, and I've collected a lot of Bloodshot stories in the past. I've been a big fan of Bloodshot. This story so far is the best one I've read. This book is so good. This was my pick of the week this week.
This did confuse me a little bit because in it, Bloodshot keeps saying, I should have brought the dog, and I should have brought the dog. And it starts before there's a dog in the book, and all I could think of is the Bloodshot dog, because there is a Bloodshot dog who got treated by Project Rising. And I thought, he thought bringing the dog to help him hunt. And I should have brought the dog. That's not the dog he's talking about. That's just wrong. And I love everything about this book. But this, John says he read this twice. And I got to tell you that this one, I'm actually going to go back and read again.
There were parts of this that to me were unnecessarily gruesome. However, I can't think of a better way to tell the story than to be unnecessarily gruesome.
Yeah.
Super strong. Really, really, really. I've not really cared for Bloodshot that much in the past. But the first issue of this was so good, and this issue was so good. What Valiant is doing is converting me from I kind of like Valiant. I like some of the characters. I like Exo Manowar. I like,
Ninjak.
No.
No.
I would have been. I'm not saying I don't like Ninjak. I do now.
Yeah.
But I was always a guy. I like Exo Manowar because I liked Matt Kint's run on it. I like who's the guy with the goat?
Oh, Quantum and Woody.
Quantum and Woody.
Yeah.
I like kind of the comedic aspect of Valiant. I've never been really big on the serious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're converting me. And this book is going a long way towards doing that. So really, really fun read. Just maybe don't, again, read it in a doctor's office in full view on an iPad, or have lunch before you read it.
Don't order the McRib.
That is, well, don't do that anyway. Yeah. But although
McRib's
R.I.P.
the
R.I.P. the McRib.
Yeah.
Thank God. But yeah,
that's the best thing they have.
No, the best thing they have is they now have Krispy Kreme donuts, which aren't even yes.
I'm not a Krispy Kreme fan.
Also, their sodas, like $1 for a large soda, still pretty good.
Yeah. All right.
Sty Spurrier, Charlie Adler, damn them all. I'm gonna start.
Okay.
This is the kind of book I love. The execution on this book is piss poor. There are giant white bars that you have to read, and it's written in such a strong Cockney accent that it becomes hard to follow at times. But the story of this book is the stuff that modern independent horror movies are made of. It's got little bits of all the classic movie tropes thrown into one, and then throw a demon at it. Right?
So Kenneth.
So for me, it's everything I want in a comic, but I want it to be done like a comic and not like, it almost felt as though it was done as storyboards, thumbnails, because you'd see a scene and then you'd have a white line that tells you a story. Then you'd see a scene and you have a white line that tells you some story. Then you'd see a scene, you have a white line. And then it turns into a comic. And then it's like there's encyclopedia pages inserted. And then it's like a comic again. And then it's these white lines again. And it's like, pick a lane.
I think that this conversation happened. I think Simon Spurrier was talking to an editor at DC and said, I've got this really great idea for a John Constantine story. And they said, no. He said, but I really, really want to do it. And they said, no. So he went and had a beer, and Ross Ritchie was sitting next to him. And Ross is like, Si, what's wrong? He goes, I have this great idea for a John Constantine story, but they won't let me do it. He goes, well, what if you change it? What if you make it a woman? Okay, and give her a hammer. Why would I give her a hammer? Just give her a hammer. Okay, and that's pretty much the story.
I love the hammer. Yeah.
And that's how John Constantine became a woman and is in Damn Them All to Hell.
My actual thing that I equated it to was not Constantine, but it was Crowley from Supernatural. Feels kind of like if you just gender bent Crowley.
Okay. Jay?
I'm just trying to wrap my head around the Crowley thing. So I don't have too much to say on this. Yes, we're going to be positive Jay with this one too. But the occult, magic, those are two things I love in books. And I dug them in this one. I thought the story was pretty fantastic. It was a weird, it kind of feels a little like you're playing a video game, and it starts out with the backstory, and then you don't actually see the main character that you're going to be as. You see like a first person view of the hands. I like how they introduce the character like that, where at first, the first little part of the book, just first person view, you don't see them. And then there's the reveal of who they are. Then, my other favorite part of the book is the book didn't end there. There wasn't a big cliffhanger of, oh, well, I'm this person in the book. No, it goes. It keeps going. Uh, I thought it was a good book. I'm down to read more of it. I do get what y'all are saying, though. It does feel like a Constantine, Crowley kind of gender bent thing. I thought the hammer was dope, though. That's it.
Yeah. So there were two books we got very late that Dan had a chance to read, that Jay and I didn't because we were doing the other shows today and getting ready for this one. But it's important to bring them up because they're we've made an effort on this show to talk more about some of the licensed IP that people are doing, like Star Trek, which was one of them. And we've been talking a lot about how we've all been very high on the Armageddon game TMNT stuff. So Dan had a chance to read them, so I'll let Dan review them, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap up. Sound like a plan?
Yeah. All right. First off is a new Star Trek series. I believe it's called Boldly Going or Boldly Go. It is very unique in that it kind of, if you're a fan of the old Deep Space Nine series and the Commander Sisko, this book is right up your alley. But it pulls from all the different shows. It takes Data and Beverly Crusher from Next Generation. It takes Sisko, of course, from Deep Space Nine. Lieutenant Paris from Voyager. And it brings other characters in, and more are going to come. Oh, and Scotty from the original series is in this. And it brings those characters all together in this new story that picks up from Deep Space Nine, where Sisko is the emissary. And it's kind of, it was a later thing they did in the series, but it was a really fun storyline, and they're picking up from there. Now, this is a first issue. This is pulling everybody together. We see Captain Picard pop up. It is just, it's a little bonkers, but if you're a Star Trek fan and you like that generation, but it's pulling from all of them. And it's probably pulling from a few that I haven't even recognized yet because, like, I didn't really watch Enterprise. I'm not up on the newer ones, but it does pull from all the ones I'm familiar with. So it probably does pull from others. But it's a setup issue. We only get a little bit into what's going on, but this is a mission Sisko's on from being the emissary, and it's good art. It's catchy, a lot of great characters. It's like Star Trek nostalgia wrapped up in a blanket and giving you a hug. So if you are a Star Trek fan, I'd say give it a shot. The other book is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Armageddon game #2. My big complaint about the book so far has been that it's a whole lot of setup. Just setup on top of setup on top of setup. We had prequel game things, and we had the prequel stories. And everything seems to be setting up. Well, this just continues to set up. We're not actually getting to the game. We're still getting the players involved. That said, this moves a lot faster. It's a lot more action-packed. We get some of the players that we hadn't seen yet. It's still building the freaking teams, but at least it's moving forward a little faster, and I enjoyed it. So I'm still enjoying the overall Armageddon game, but I wish that it was a little less setup and a little more into the punch. But this is more of the setup, more of the building the teams. But it's a fun issue. And we get a little more with the other turtles that show up, things like that. everything moves forward, but it's just moving forward slowly because there's so many things going on. So those are my quick reviews of those two books.
Very cool. I will be reading Armageddon Game this evening.
Should also check out the Star Trek.
Sure.
We're going to get more of that series.
Can tell you now, it's not Wars or Star Galactica. So probably not going to be super high on my list.
It's Cisco. Hawk,
the one who sang
Spencer for Hire.
The one who sang the thong song.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
Or the guy who invented the interconnectivity office internet system.
Weird.
Yeah. Speaking of weird, what's up, Ed Weird?
All right. So, as always, this show is brought to you by Comic Shop Locator. Head over to comicshoplocator.com and type in the area code where you are, or zip code where you are, and it will tell you where comic shops are nearby to you. I am on my way to Baltimore tomorrow morning for Diamond Retailer Summit, and Henri and I are driving together, which pray for the state of Pennsylvania. Because Henri and I together in a car can do nothing but destroy that entire state faster than Dr. Oz. So, we are going to look for a comic shop along the way to stop and pick up our Wednesday books. I already paid my LCS for my books, but there's stuff I want to read that we had today that weren't on my pulls, stuff that I want to pick up. So we're going to find a shop along the way and pick up, and we're using Comic Shop Locator to do it. So make sure you use Comic Shop Locator to find a great comic book shop nearby to you.
And remember, while you're here, before you go, before you leave, hit the thumbs up, the like, all those buttons. And remember to check out our membership services.
Click
we
the
have
bell.
Some great things we're offering. So please check them out and join in. I mean, look at John. He's got that special green thing going on. I don't know if everybody sees the green, but John.
He's got a little icon.
One of our members, yeah. And he's going to try the Star Trek book. Excellent.
Yes. Something else I wanted to mention. I will be coming to you live from Diamond Retailer Summit on Thursday. And
as opposed to Dead, how he shows up here every Tuesday night.
Dave is kind of being an ass today, isn't he?
No, I've been told that I have to say it this way. We'll be coming to you live from the afterwards of the Diamond Retailer Summit. Can't go live during the Diamond Retailer Summit with all the new information that we're allowed to share from Diamond Retailer Summit. Now, there will be stuff that's embargoed that I want to tell you, but I won't be able to tell you. We'll tell you that stuff as soon as we can. But I will join Dan on Thursday as well from his show for a few minutes to kind of catch you up on what's been announced, what's happened, that kind of thing. And then I will be on the show floor Friday at Baltimore Comic-Con, also doing some live drop-ins throughout the day, as well as same with Saturday and Sunday. So just make sure you've clicked the bell here on YouTube and on Facebook and wherever you're watching so that you get the notifications so that you can know when I do that crap. Because I don't know when it's going to happen. It's going to be when cool stuff happens. And, when me and Howard Chaykin are sitting eating crab cakes, I will go live. But probably not when there's stuff that's interesting to other people.
If you want to make it interesting to other people, ask him what he thinks about The Shadow.
I won't, but I will ask him if he wants to go for seafood, and he'll say yes. Dan, what is your topic tomorrow on the Dan Wickline Show?
That's a good question. I'm probably going to talk more about the announcement that James Gunn and Peter Safran are now the heads of DC Film. Originally, I was going to talk about, being the Halloween season, some different horror movies that you guys, either some classics or some you may not be familiar with some of my favorites, because not being a horror guy, the ones I actually like are kind of strange.
How do you feel about The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown?
Classic. Absolutely.
Very
classic.
important holiday movie.
Yes. But I think the James Gunn talk may spike. I'll have to see what I can put together tomorrow. And then Thursday will be Kyle over there joining me to talk about the Retailer Summit and also talking about Andor and probably Quantum Leap. to fill up the hour.
And then when I get back next week, we'll have to do a Black Adam.
If I can get over to the theater, absolutely.
Awesome.
Hopefully, I'll be able to go next Monday on Halloween.
That would be a good time to see it.
Yep.
All right. Jay, do you have anything you want to plug?
Not really. Oh, wow.
You just broke your mic, Dan. Something. You unplugged it. It says you're muted because you chose to be muted. I don't know what me asking Jay if he wanted to plug caused Dan to react that way, but we're going to go with it.
Yeah. Nothing really, just appreciate everybody watching tonight. And Edward, I'm sorry about Facebook, man. Facebook has been weird for me lately when it comes to videos and stuff too. I don't know what it is.
Facebook, there's a 1 hour ago Facebook issue. Facebook comics aren't working, and new Facebook group destinations cannot be added. We have reported this Facebook. No, other destinations are not affected.
Huh.
There is a known Facebook issue.
Oh, okay. Well then,
still broke, Dan.
How about now?
Okay, now you're back.
There you go.
Yeah. I thought of a really bad joke when you asked Jay if there's anything he wants to plug, and I thought I better not say it, and I stopped myself.
Probably smart, but you broke your whole setup when you did. So, all right.
Karma, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I will see you guys from Baltimore Comic-Con this week. We will see everybody else next week for In Stores this week. For Dan and Jay, I've been Kyle. He's been Chevy Chase. And this has been In Stores this week.
Good night, everybody.